Chapter 7. The next morning, Richard was up early. "Well, I guess today we saved the universe," he said nervously. Eric was curled up in an orange frisbee. He yawned and stretched. "It is not the universe, just your little home planet," he answered. "I resent that," said Richard. He pulled his socks over his bandaged feet. "If it's so small and unimportant, why are you here?" Richard's head was pounding. Was that part of melting too? In any case, he was sick of Eric acting like such a know-it-all. All right, your planet is important. If the drains take over Earth, who knows what they will do next? But it is bad luck to brag, and worse manners. Your mother should have taught you that." "She tried," said Richard. He went into his closet and pulled out a 5-pound box of pepper flakes. He felt so weak that it was hard to lift the box, and he had spent $17.52 on it, his life savings. "I sure hope this works," he said. "Do you think 5 pounds is enough?" "It better be. Dwarf will divide in exactly 3 hours and 14 minutes. Then it is bye-bye biosphere." Richard shuddered. I guess we better hurry," he said. "There's no place else to go if we mess up, is there?" "Negatory, my friend," said Eric. "Richard!" called Mrs. Bickerstaff. "Time to get up!" Richard put Eric into his shirt pocket. He zipped the box of pepper flakes into his backpack. Then he walked to the kitchen. His mother, in her bathrobe, was opening and closing all the cabinets. "Where did the tea bags go?" she said. "I could have sworn they were here yesterday." "Gee, Mom, I sure don't know," said Richard. He and Eric had cleaned up the kitchen the afternoon before in a big hurry. They probably should have been more careful. "You're up early this morning," said his mother. "How come? Something special going on at school?" "No, just felt like getting an early start," said Richard. "Good for you. What would you like for breakfast? Some more of that nice new cereal?" "No!" Richard croaked. He never wanted to see another box of Alien Crisp in his life. Richard's mother peered at him. "Are you all right, honey?" she asked. "You look pale." For a second, Richard felt like a little kid again. He wished he could tell his mother everything. "I'm fine, Mom," he said. He sat down at the table. "Really?" "Well, at least have a good breakfast," said his mother. She smoothed back his hair. "How about an egg?" "Sure," said Richard. To his mother's surprise, he ate everything on his plate. Then he kissed her on the cheek and left to wait for the school bus right on time. Richard was glad Henry wasn't on the bus. If he saw Henry, he wasn't sure he could keep quiet about Dwarf, and he knew that saying anything would ruin Eric's mission. Then again, it was pretty clear that Henry was under Dwarf's control. He probably wouldn't believe me if I did tell him, thought Richard. He walked into school and stood near the boys' bathroom. A second later, Dwarf and Henry came around walking down the hall. They were both wearing red cowboy shirts and string ties. Dwarf was talking, and Henry was nodding at everything he said, as usual. "Remember, do not look at Dwarf's teeth when he smiles," said Eric, "and step back after you give him the flakes. Drains can get violent before they explode." Richard got hot, then cold, then slightly dizzy. "Do not be afraid," said Eric. "I'm not afraid. I'm terrified," said Richard. But even as he said it, he was stepping away from the wall. He stood in front of Dwarf and Henry. "Hi, guys," he said. "Hi, Richard," said Dwarf. "How are you doing? You don't look so good, buddy." Then he smiled one of his amazing smiles right at Richard. Just in time, Richard remembered to look away. Then he said, "I was hoping I'd run into you before class, Dwarf. I've got something I think you'll really like." "Come on in here. I'll show it to you." He led them into the boys' bathroom, which was empty. Then he set his backpack down. It took all his strength to pull out the box of pepper flakes. "Here, this is for you," Richard told Dorf. He opened the box. "Want some?" Dorf looked at the pepper flakes. Suddenly, his face was wet with sweat. He smiled a hungry smile. His breath came fast and hard, and his eyes gleamed. His face turned bright pink. He grabbed the box away from Richard, and he poured a heap of pepper flakes into his hand. He stuffed it into his mouth as if he were eating popcorn, only he didn't chew it. He simply swallowed it. Then he swallowed another handful, and another. "Dorf, what are you doing?" cried Henry. Dorf ignored him. His eyes turned bright purple. "More!" he gasped. He poured pepper flakes down his throat. "More!" The snaps of his cowboy shirt popped open. His chest was bright red. It started to steam. Henry jumped away. So did Richard. Now Dorf's eyes were bulging. He finished off the box and his skin went from red to purple. Then his hair started burning. It smelled horrible. "Yikes," said Richard. He grabbed Henry. They backed away towards the door. Dorf began bubbling and popping. His clothes fell to the floor in a smoking heap. He stopped looking like a boy and started to look like a blob of live silly putty. Then he sprouted tentacles. There were dozens of them. They thrashed on the floor, making a loud hissing noise. Richard felt something on his neck. He jumped away. It was only Eric. He had climbed on Richard's shoulder to watch. A horrible cry filled the bathroom. "You got me!" screamed Dorf. "2 more hours and I would have started dividing. My clones would have been all over your planet like the ants on a candy bar. And then all you pathetic earthlings would have been our slaves." His tentacles flopped on the white floor. "I hate to lose," Dorf wailed at Richard. "I hope you flunk math and history. I hope you fail science and art and social studies and English and gym." Then he blew up.